Hello everyone, my name is Jiawen Hu, and you can call me Brooke. So today I'd like to introduce something about my Folio and the illusion of life, and all of my projects are related to a play of movement. So I want to start with something honest. I didn't come into this course with a clear plan. I just followed what genuinely interested me each week. But looking back now, I can see there's actually one question running through every I made. When something moves, and why do we feel it? Let's move on to the week one, the illusion. So in the first week, I came and think about my series 3 projects, which is about a visual novel. So there's a really famous theory called the protest effect. The idea that the character you play can actually change how you behave in real life, and that makes me wonder if a character's appearance already does that, what happens when the character moves. So I made a small RGB text piece, very simple, but that question stuck with me for the rest of the semester. In week 2, we talked about a loop, and I immediately thought of figure skating. Not repetition, it's just a jump called loop. Cause I'm a big figure skating fan and kept coming back 2 skaters while working on this week. One is Amber Glenn from USA and the other one is Adriel from China. So figure skating is a sport where most women retire at 17 or 18, it's really young age. This system kind of push you out after a certain age, but Amber Glenn, who is already 25 years old, she's still learning triple axel. It's a very, very difficult jump. And Adriel, my favorite skater, she competed at Beijing Olympics at 18 and the first really intense online hatred afterwards. About 4 years, and then in this season, at 23, she skated her personal best. So that's why the loop jump moved me. It's not just the shape, it's a feeling of come back to something and the fun you're growing inside it. So after class, I studied their jumps, broke down the movement frame by frame, and then make triple loop GIF. The GIF is really simple, but I'm trying to capture that moment that never quite stop. So in other words, Yuri on Ice, a very famous Japanese cartoon, and the medalist both invite me here. They treat skating as emotional storytelling, not just a sport. For about week 3, scale, timing, and spacing. It reminds me of my childhood, because I grew up reading fairy tales, whatever the Anderson, the Glen, or the Aesop. I read all of them more than once, and I always notice that underneath the sweetness there's something genius dark. For example, the Cinderella's stepsister cutting her own heel, or the Alba Queen's obsession with the mirror. So, I also really inspired by the revolting rhymes. It's a short movie, but it's basically take those classic fairy tales we all know and flips them into something darker and kind of funny. So I wanted to do something similar, like using a fairy tale world with some unexpected and slightly twisted change. So I made 3 short animation reinterpreting those moments, and the different animation has their different emotion. So the first one is about Katniss. So you can see a Little Red Riding Hood with a chainsaw and grinning. The second one is about the pain. So you can see someone cutting someone's heel and a glass zipper appearing. The last one is about the conceit. So you can see a character, like the Alba Queen laughing at her reflection and not stopping. For about week 4's topic, the sound, I decided to work with touch designer and I went straight to building a visualizer. I separate audio into frequencies, map it to waveforms, and connect it to the stream diffusion, so the graphics and the visuals could generate in real life from prompts. So I also reference Samu Qinghe's project here. You can see that it's really nice. It's the way they integrate generative visualize with sound, and it gave me a really clear direction technically. But the part I found most interesting is choosing the sound themselves. And first, I picked the three songs from BBC Archive. The first one is Church Bells at Dusk. The second one is an open field with a distant clock. And the last one is a 1906 toilet flushing. And the toilet one is surprising me the most. Because I try to completely forget what is worse, and I just listen to the texture, like the forest, the turbulence, and then I keep it calm white vibrating the surface of the ocean. Okay, I will show you about the video. So it's really interesting and it's way from interact with the music and I think it's creative. And that felt something important that the song didn't change and the reframing changed everything I felt about it. In week 5, about the metamorphosis, I brought it back to my Studio 3 projects, and I used Gaussian blur and the particle depression to create a transformation between two characters, because in my games, you should choose which character you wanna be. The one is a princess, another one is a king, and both of them are faded and tied together. So that's why I choose this visual approach. This is because my whole project has this quality of things being meant for each other. Like the faded, the symbolic, or it's not just quite literal. And the Gaussian blur and the particles felt right for that. The two characters don't just switch, they bleed in each other a little because that's what the story is actually about. So looking back through 5 weeks, what I keep finding is that movement always carries something emotional. It's never just the technical things. And in our course, The Illusion of Life, I think that's exactly what we're learning to work with. Not just how things move, but what that movement makes people feel. So even though I'm still figuring out, but I'm really glad I found what genuinely interested me because I think that's where the real thinking happens. Thanks everyone.